Good evening and welcome to Shop Live with Mimi and Russ and Louie.
Louie. A little sidekick.
Hope everyone's doing great tonight. We had some summer-like weather here in North Raleigh today, which was also very pleasant.
Very welcome.
Humidity hadn't hit yet. So what did we do this last weekend? You want to tell people what we did?
Yeah, we had a really fun and busy weekend for Christmas this past year. We decided to, since we have adult children, we decided we were going to gift each other experiences. So it happened that we had two experiences in one weekend.
Very unique and very different.
Busy. So we put up some pictures I did on my Facebook page. I don't know if we did on the business page, but Friday night we went to the Angus Barn. Once a year they have a really fun dinner. Now you have to buy tickets in December as soon as they come out. But it was a recreation of the last dinner they served on the Titanic. So Russ and I dressed up, and it was just a lot of fun.
It was. When you go in there, they basically have nameplates of who was on the Titanic, and you pick your name out who you want to be that night. So then, as we're having I think it's like 7 courses, they basically start talking about each one of those people. So we picked our names. I picked John Jacob Astor, which was
The
the
richest
richest
dude
man on the boat, which is completely
But
opposite
he
who I
didn't. He didn't make it though.
No, he didn't make
He
it.
didn't make it.
But we learned a lot of interesting history about that.
Yes.
Mimi was Mrs. Thayer.
I was Mrs. Marion Thayer, a woman of substance. When I picked up the nameplate, I didn't know if that meant I was like a socialite or maybe a mistress or something derelict. I
wanted to find out
wasn't
what the
quite
word
sure.
substance
I
was.
just wanted to know what she was, but it ended up she did survive, and her 17-year-old son survived. They were very instrumental in explaining the sinking of the ship after it happened, so they could, investigate, do all this stuff.
Her son ended up being a very strong swimmer and survived the cold water,
Yeah.
and explained to them how the ship literally broke in two. They thought originally that it went down in one piece, but
Yes, and Mr. Astor, when they found his body, he was covered in soot and crushed, so they think one of the smokestacks landed on him. They found one of his watches or something in the last few years down on the bottom. I'm pretty sure I meant to look that up, but so it's just really interesting. It happened over 100 years ago, but it's really interesting how we still have interest in it and learning the rest, and I love history. So
It was on this day, actually, 114 years ago.
that's why it was April 14th
yeah, April 14th.
today.
So it was fun. Everybody there, except for a couple of people, were dressed to theme. A lot of the men had on the tuxedos with the white tie and the top hat.
The claw hammer tails along there. It was really cool.
So that was fun. And then a different kind of fun we experienced Sunday. We went to Chapel Hill to see the Savannah Bananas, and that was a gift from Gabrielle. We've been wanting to go and see them for quite some time. So finding out they were going to be just up the road, we got tickets.
If
And
you're not familiar with them, they're a baseball team. It's a baseball league, and it's more of a lot of things going on. I describe it as there's a whole lot of chaos going on, a lot of music, and occasionally a baseball game breaks out.
3 ring circuits, and you related it to the Harlem Globetrotters,
Yeah,
which I
same
think
thing.
is probably a good analogy.
Yeah, they take the game of baseball and make it fun by doing a lot of antics and crazy things. And one of the pitchers literally is standing on stilts. He's on stilts that are about 8 feet tall. And he's pitching. Now, it's amazing. You can probably go online and watch it, but it was a lot of fun. If you get a chance to see the Savannah Bananas, definitely go do that.
Yes, that was crazy. It was a lot of fun. So tonight you can see we're back in Russ's lair. We're in the shop. He's got some things lined up to show you. We got a lot of great feedback last week from him doing the casting process. We had some longtime clients who watched and had never really seen you do that, and they were just said it was super interesting. So we're going to continue on that tonight back here in the shop. So we'll let Russ get started, and I have no idea what he's going to show you.
I don't really know either. Kind of.
So anyway, I'm going to take the assistant and let you show what you have to show.
All right, sounds good. We're going to go over a few things tonight, kind of quickly, but I want to, again, excuse me, the pollen's still getting to me.
You need some water.
I got something right here to drink. But anyway, tonight I'm going to go over a few things that we do and how we do it. First thing is, last week we showed you the casting process of how we take the item out of the oven that has the cavity in the crucible where we melt the gold and pour it. And when it comes back out of the mold, it has a rough texture like this. You can kind of see this was a two-piece casting. This is a ring that's going to have a round center stone flanked by two smaller side stones and then another stone. And it's in two pieces because we like to put the diamonds in the white gold, which is this top, and the shank's going to be a yellow gold shank, which is the back part of the ring. But it's going to all blend in together. Once it's polished, it's going to look great. But here's how it looks after it's been semi-cleaned. The next thing we do is, as you can see, this has what we call growth lines on it. Let me go right place in mine.
You're fine.
You can see the rough texture. The CAM machine, the computer-aided milling machine, builds this like one layer at a time. So it has growth lines in it. So we can either sand it, and lots of times in tight places I can't sand it. So what I have to do is I use this tool. It's an ultrasonic polisher. So you can see what happens when I have to stand on the pole here. This literally will take those growth lines off. Typically I would use sandpaper here. I just want to show you what it does real quickly because this is an easy spot. So once you do that, you can see it took a lot of that surface area off. And once that's done, then we'll go back in and we'll polish it. You'll see from there. So bingo, you can see how quickly that happens. So that's kind of the step process of that. And what I was saying earlier, well, you can't sand it with traditional sandpaper. Again, this is a good example. This ring really shows you those growth lines in the right spot. Wrong way. Sorry. I'm trying to watch it on the screen across the room. Anyway, you can see inside of this head, it's growth lines. I want to make sure that everything is highly polished inside and out because you do have reflections off of the ring, off the surface itself. So we want to make sure that it's highly polished and doesn't show any imperfections. So again, this one I would take this machine again and I would go in here and I would rub this, rub it, and get it as clean as I can internally. The next step after that, I have a machine that has it's a tumbler. A lot of people are familiar with tumbling from, tumbling rocks and pebbles. But I have a machine that I actually have these little pins in here. I'll show you. You can see these little pinpoints here. This is spinning. It's magnetic. And it's spinning and spinning and spinning. And these little pellets are bombarding the pieces. And I have a few pieces that I cast last week that you saw me do. So they've been in the machine. So now you can see it kind of puts a semi-bright finish to it. But it goes from this rough stage we were just looking at. Where'd it go? It goes from the rough stage to sanding it down. Then when I come in here, it gives me a smoother finish to polish. So typically when I do it this way now, it should be a quicker polish time. So as you can see, that's a whole lot quicker to polish it. So that's kind of the process of from the oven to sanding to the polish method. So that gives us a nice finish to be able to work in to get a really high polish off of it. Now, I want to show you how we do our bezels. Tonight, I've got several things that we're going to actually set while we're here to show you how a piece of jewelry is made. I'm going to zoom in here to show you what's going on. What I've got here to start with is, let me move this stuff right here out of the way. We have a 1 carat diamond, round diamond, and we're going to do it in a bezel pendant, which is a great way to do a pendant because it tends to make the diamond look larger. As you can see, it's very smooth. There are no prongs, so it's something you can put on, wear, and forget about it, and it won't pick and it won't snag. Okay? So, And what we're gonna do is, we're gonna set the diamond. Nice thing about bezels is, as you can see, I have a little tool here, and this tool will go over this, so when I take a hammer and I hit this, I better move these guys out of the way or they're gonna be on the floor. So let's do that. Let's move these. So I'm gonna take my hammer. This is gonna literally set the diamond by just hammering the edges over it. So that easy, that simple, we just set a 1 carat diamond into a pendant. And what I like to do is I drill holes in it before I set it. So I've got the holes here for the chain, because I like the chain to slide through. I like for it to float on the piece. Sometimes you'll see them soldered to it, but it's stationary, and the pendant tends to want to walk on your neck most of the time. This way, by being a floating situation, it will always be on the bottom of your neck. It's not going to ride up. I'm just going to get it to fall in place. There you go. So, as you see, now, where to go? There you go. Now it's set, and you see how it slides on that chain. So that's a really clean look also, as opposed, let me get it so we can see it better, as opposed to having the prongs and get it to sit. As you can see, it's just a clean look. And it does give the diamond an appearance of being a little bit larger, but I do like the way we get them to float on the chain like this. So then what I'll do next is I'll solder a jump ring to it, and that'll be a finished piece. Here's something I was just pulled off we're going to work on here. We're going to do some more setting here real quick. This is going to be some champagne diamonds that we're going to set, and these are going to be in a 3-stone pendant. We're going to stack this up. So we're going to take and set this stone. There's the big stone. That's it. Let's see. Where's the middle stone? There's the middle one. So, gotta level that in. Oops. I'll level that in there a little bit. One of the stones is missing. That's going to go there. So again, that was the stacking combination. And I've got one more stone that I put up here somewhere. So I don't have it. I'll have to do it later. But anyway, so what's going to end up happening is there'll be 3 stones set like that. And I'm going to do it the same way that I did the first pendant we were just working on. I'm going to drill holes in the top, and the chain will slide through the top. A lot of times you'll see the rabbit ear bail, or bail on top they call it. It's like a little rabbit ear sticking up. I don't like those. I like just to be able to drill it and slide it through there. It looks more curated. It looks, I think, a better balance. It also gives you more room. Now, here's another project we're getting ready to do. We do these earrings. They're kind of a jacket. A lot of times you'll have diamond stud earrings, and we have had these large pearls, and we make this jacket. In other words, what's a jacket? It goes on a diamond stud, but I have a double one here that you can also do something different with it. This design, as you can see, you put your diamond earring or your pearl or whatever, a color stone through, and it hangs on the ear like this. It's a fun way of taking a big pearl, or if you have leftover pearl sometimes from a strand, we can do these and lay it out this way, and we put a little diamond on the bottom because the pearl's drilled through already. So we do that just to kind of dress it up a little bit. You can do it that way. You can do it as a single stud.
It's a great way to reuse a full drilled pearl.
Exactly. You can see it's a single stud. It's a fantastic way to do it. And this is done, basically, as I say, this is a pearl here. Here's a pearl. And I have some wire, and I cut the wire to length. Then I'll make a little jump ring, because you don't need a big one, so I'll make something just enough to go through the post. So we'll assemble that. Then we'll take a diamond and set it. And then we'll put that diamond down on the bottom of it, so that those components go together to build that piece. All right. Let's see what else we got going. I'm gonna show you something else here. I'm working on that. You guys can give me some opinions tonight. This will be great. This will be perfect. You can help me make some decisions. I'm gonna do a pendant out of this beautiful tourmaline. It's a rich green, gorgeous tourmaline. Now there's a couple ways we can do this. We can do a solitaire like that by itself. Could be on a chain. Could have a white gold bale, a yellow gold bale. This one's a little fancier, which I like. I was mentioning rabbit ears earlier. That's the rabbit ear. You can do something that's very classic. It's been around forever. I like doing something a little different. Here's another pendant we're doing. The bale's kind of a cross, an X on it. To me, it just has a little bit more style, a little more oomph to it, as we say. Now, but going back to this, beautiful stone. We can do something simple. We can do like a little stacked piece like that. And again, the bale can be yellow or white. So you can do something like that, very simple. Or we could kick it up. We love color and color. Again, you can do multiple colors. Then you can maybe, well, let's just do this. Let's throw one little diamond accent in the bottom. Or let's don't do that. Maybe let's do a 3-color. Put a sapphire with it. So now you got a sapphire, a tourmaline, and a garnet.
I like that one.
So just, again, playing with color. And you can still throw the diamond in there if you want to. That could be right here to introduce those stones. So you see that there's a lot of options. That's what we have a lot of fun doing, is kind of playing around with ideas and coming up with things that haven't been done before. And I love working with these bezels because, again, it's a clean, simple look. And just to give you an idea too, on some of these bezels, sometimes we can buy them, they're already made, which fit stones that are calibrated. Sometimes customers bring in their stones that might be an odd shape or a big round that's not really calibrated, and have to make these bezels. This is a wax bezel that I made. And people go, well, how in the world do you make those? Basically what I do is I have a spoon and I melt some wax into it. And when I do that, I actually get it shaped. Here's one that can kind of give you an idea of how it works. Let me find this tool here. So basically, I do it kind of like a lathe. So what's going to happen is, for instance, I get this spinning and I take a grater, and you can see, I can cut this to a thickness and a balance. So it works. Once I get it to the right thickness, I'm not really paying that much attention. And what happens is you cut it off like that. As you can see, we just made a bezel. This is for large stone, this is for none. So sometimes we have to hand make things. That's one of the ways that we do it. And speaking of hand making things, let me show you a fun little tool that we have that we use to make wedding bands. Show you how this works. We have a gentleman who needs a wedding band, doing a classic band. They've got their own gold, so we're going to melt it. I have these tubes. As you can see, this is a wax tube. And I have a little tool that I've had forever, and they don't make them anymore. I'm glad I have 2 of them in case it breaks. But what we do is, it has a little gauge. It tells me his finger size is 11 and a half. I set it on 11 and a half. And then what I can do is, I go back in here, and we turn this, and it cuts out the exact finger size that we need. I already started this earlier, so it's going to be a quicker process. So what happens is, it goes from that tube to, that's an 11 and a half circumference right there. Then we have another part of this that actually helps me to cut the shape. I have different tools. This is the box that has different tools in it for things that we do. Cutters and widths of different size bands, different heights. Most of these are for like half round bands, which is what this one's for. It's going to be about a 6mm band, and this is roughly about 6mm, so I'm going to cut it a little bit larger than what it is, and I'm pretty close to where it needs to be. And again, what happens with this, the same kind of thing, is I start turning this, and it's going to cut that shape. So you can see how nice that does. Get the edge off here. And I'm putting a little extra pressure so it's kind of not as smooth. I'm going to slow it down a little bit here. Get a nice smooth surface that you can really see. Look how nice. All right. You can see. So there's the start of a wedding band. Normally you have to do this by eye. If you're hand carving it, this machine, as you can see, is a time saver, and it's a great way to make a perfectly balanced band. And so what I end up doing is I go back through, and there's a certain height we do. This is not nearly thin enough yet, but I can measure it to see what it is. Right now it's about 3mm. We're going to get this one to somewhere around 2mm. The gentleman that's going to wear this has a large finger, and he's pretty rough on stuff, so we're going to make it a little bit thicker than normal. But once that's done, I have another tool that I can put on here, and it's going to cut it off perfectly. So I got a nice clean straight line. Once I do that, I'm going to sand both sides so they're nice and smooth and clean. And I have another solution that actually kind of dissolves the wax a little bit. It'll take out any little lines or scratches that I have here. So when I cast it, when I pour the gold, it's going to be a nice smooth surface with minimal cleanup. So that's how we can make a handmade gold band. And this particular gentleman wants a texture on this piece. He's a woodworker, he's a wood carver, and he does cabinets and all kinds of things. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do it with my lighter. My hand. Get this thing going here. A little low on alcohol. But what I will do, he wants a wood grain texture. So here's a little trick we're going to do. I have a dental pick, as I showed you before. I use this to drip wax, add wax. But I'm going to heat it up a little bit. So what I'll end up doing is I'll take this and I'll just kind of make this little surface marks. Just by that little bit of heat and a little bit of movement. We just finished a band today for someone that has a similar texture. But if you notice, it's starting to have that kind of a wood grain look to it. So this will go all the way around the band. So this will be a nice, heavy, sturdy band with a texture. Nice thing about this type of texture for men is it really won't show scratches or wear and tear as bad either. It's, you know, it's kind of made to look that way to start with. But you can see how quickly and how nicely that does. We do a lot of textures like this for men's and ladies' rings. Here's another ring that we showed you that we've been working on here that has the same situation. Here's kind of that wood grain texture. It's got a little bit more texture than what I just did. And then we have on the outside, these are kind of a hammered outside. So you can go from smooth textures like this to kind of wood grains to hammered looks. There's all kinds of ways we can put different finishes on there, but it just makes pieces more interesting. This is a freeform piece that we're doing. Gotta add one more stone. But it's just a fun texture, artistic and playful. Okay, we got one more thing I'm going to show you that we're working on last week, so we're going to switch gears and go to another bench here. This this is where they do all of our soldering and so forth. So this is a pendant that we showed you last week that we had made a lady a while back. Excuse me. She has more stones, and I finally got all these stones finished and set. The two marquees we had to make custom bezels for because they're odd shapes and cuts, and they don't have bezels we can buy. So I handmade those, got those polished up today to where they look the way I want them to look. So now we're going to take this. I kind of played earlier. I laid it out, and this is what I came up with. I'm going to take these stones and lay it out very similar to what this is right here in the picture. A lot of times, we'll sit here, we'll play around with, especially doing something freeform. You kind of play around with the different positions and see what works the best. And this seemed to be the most pleasing, I think, for what we're trying to work with, because we've got a lot of mixtures and we got colors. You can see there's yellow and white stones. I want to make those balanced. So I think that came out pretty well. So I'm going to start soldering these together eventually here. I'll do a couple tonight just to show you how it works. But that's going to be the overall look. So I can go back and reference this as I'm building this. And as I'm building it, I may see another direction that looks better. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, this is what happens. So we're going to take, I'm going to light my torch. This is oxygen and natural gas that I use on my torch. And what we do, this is a solution of alcohol and boric acid. What that does, it allows you to not have any oxidation on the metal. The gold wants to oxidize. So what I'm going to do is just kind of show you what we do. I'm going to solder these two heads together in preparation for putting it onto this piece. So what I have here is some solder that I've already cut, little chips. This is 14 karat white gold solder. So we're going to heat this. Let the alcohol burn off. That's melted to there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder these two pieces together just by heating it like we did on the first stone. All right, come on, you can do it. There you go. Let that solder flow, so I'm going to check it on both sides and make sure it moves. You can see that it moved cleanly. So we're going to let that cool off a little bit. Diamonds you can actually quench them, meaning you can go from hot to right into cold water. You can't do that with a gemstone, they'll blow them all to pieces. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I look at my piece I did. There's the two stones. Here's the two stones right here that I just soldered together. So then what the next step I would do would be to put a dot of solder on this again, and I'm going to tack that piece just like that, so you can kind of see that feel. And then the next thing I would do, I would solder this piece to here, so it has the feel of what that, of what that is. So that's the two we just did. That would go next. And then we'd come back and again, just kind of go downward, just slowly build it downward to where this looks pretty close to what that looks like. So each one of these will have a little dot of solder like I did, and then we'll place them and then we'll heat this all together. Once that's heated together and everything is in place, we've got to go back in and we'll have to hand polish this entire piece to make it a finished piece of jewelry. And this lady will have all of her stones. These were all her stones that she had from family and some stones that she had. I wanted to combine them in a playful piece. And she liked that bubbles idea, and the mixture of shapes and colors was something very interesting to her. So that's kind of how we do things, folks. Just want to show you some more ideas and some information on how things are made here at Brother Joy Design Studio. If you have any questions or you want to see something done, let us know. If you have any ideas or things you want to have made, we have a place to come to see. Means you have something you have to say?
I was gonna say, the stones she's actually adding to this pendant now are, she bought some estate jewelry.
Yeah.
She just loves estate jewelry and going and picking things. So she found these diamonds purposely to add to her pendant.
There you go.
Yeah,
Again, so if you have things at home, we talk about it all the time, every week. Repurpose, repurpose, repurpose. That's the wonderful thing about jewelry. Metal, diamonds, gemstones can all be reused. They have value. They're beautiful. They may not be in something that you like or enjoy, or if you inherited something that's not your style or taste. Well, maybe it's just dated. You don't like the look of it. Bring it in and let's see if we can help you figure out how to create something new, something special, one of a kind that's truly for you. Right?
Absolutely, that's fun.
We're going to sign off tonight. Next week, we're going to be back and we're going to have some beautiful new pieces of jewelry to show you. And we hope you'll join us then. But until then, have a very, very blessed week and check out the Savannah Bananas if you get a chance.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
Hope you learned something. Hope you had a little fun. Take care. Good night.
Good night.